see you. Take me back. Take me back, dear Lord, where I first believed.
In the beginning, the National Association of Church of God was officially organized in 1916, having existed as early as 1906 as the Brothers and Sisters of Love. Brother Ernest and Sister Priscilla Wimbush had a dream of a meeting place to worship and fellowship. They dreamed of a peaceful area in the midst of wildlife. After searching for many years and great sacrifice, the land was finally purchased in 1916. West Middlesex had its first camp meeting in 1917. It was held under a tent in the apple orchard, where an old farmhouse was used as the women's dormitory while the men slept in barns in the hay. They were all happy in the spirit of the Lord. The founders tried 3 names for the organization. At first, they were called Western Pennsylvania and Ohio Campground Association. Then, the name changed to the Gospel Industrial Association of the Church of God Evening Light. Finally, the name National Association of the Church of God was chosen. After the Civil War and slavery ended, many African Americans had joined the Church of God. In the early times of the Church of God Reformation movement, it was not uncommon for whites and blacks to attend meetings together. However, fears of an inability to attract whites if blacks were present was introduced. It was reported that the blacks were called together at a meeting in Anderson and told to find a new place to hold their camp meetings. The alternative was West Middlesex. The Great Northern Migration brought many African Americans to Chicago. A small group of blacks that followed the Church of God movement began to meet in a house. It was there at the home of Sister Willette Muffin, the congregation, now known as Covenant Faith Church of God, was born.
But still I hear you calling me.
Back then, the church moved a lot to accommodate its growing congregation. The church moved to 35th Street in 1933, then to 43rd Street. The congregation grew even larger, so they acquired a rented facility at 47th Street at the Parkway Ballroom. There, our congregation was under the leadership of its first pastor, Reverend Walter W. Naylor. Later on, we moved again to 51st Street to an old theater, then to 62nd Street. At that time, we were under Pastor S.P. Dunn and was later called Langley Avenue Church of God. After some time, our congregation left while others stayed and still had services till this day. Moving forward, we moved to 12224 61st Street, where Pastor Patrick P. Hurd took over. Later, we moved to 1122 West 61st Street and was called Church of God of Inglewood. Reverend E.G. Johnson took over in 1948. Pastor Johnson was later preceded by Reverend Dr. Marcus H. Morgan. We moved to 10555 South Emerald Avenue and became Emerald Avenue Church of God. Reverend Morgan pastored the congregation for 42 years until he was too ill to lead and he retired. Taking over the leadership and fellowship role, Reverend Dr. E. Raymond Chin broke ground on Phase 1 in 2001, which led to the moving to 10505 South Halsted in 2003. From that point on, the name was changed to Covenant Faith Church of God. This building that holds the congregation of Covenant Faith Church of God holds history. History is not the only thing this church has to be proud of. The church has been active in the civil rights movement and produced many prominent ministers. Even though this building we stand in today is barely new, it holds all of our history and dreams, from the past to the present and forever in the future.
Take me back.